Hey everybody, it's me. I'm back. I just got back home from Mardi Gras. It was a great little vacation and everything. Got to see some good parades and got some good food as always. So it was my third time there. Um, I just like going to that place. I finally got a jazz hat. I've been meaning to get one for a while. Obviously, it doesn't say Utah on it. I wanted to get one that's fucking New Orleans Jazz, so I just kind of stuck with that. But anyway, while I was down there, I got updates and stuff about some NFL news and stuff happening. So I guess I'll just cut right to it. I want to get to the Ravens stuff a little bit later, but for right now, I'll start with like the major news. So three big uh, NFL superstars, I think, got released. So we saw Jamal Charles get released from the Kansas City Chiefs. We saw Darrell Reeves get released from the Jets for obvious legal reasons and also poor play from last season. And we also saw Adrian Peterson finally with his tenure being over in Minnesota. So that's finally done. Um, I obviously don't know where those guys are going to land. Um, I think Adrian Peterson has the best shot out of the three with landing somewhere quickly, only because even though he's had a couple injuries, it hasn't been anything that would look like it's going to definitely end his career. Jamal Charles, on the other hand, has had some serious knee injuries and leg issues over the last few seasons, and I think for Jamal Charles, I think this could be the end of the road for him. Definitely, I think this could be over for him. So, maybe some team gives him a shot. I don't think it will be anything long term, and maybe a year deal, maybe another second year option, but definitely nothing long term. Darrell Revis, we have to obviously find out more what happened in Pittsburgh with him, but it is not looking good for Darrell Revis. He has a lot of accounts of assault, other misdemeanor charges, and things like that. So he could just end up in prison. May not even be able to hit free agency because he's just in jail. So those guys definitely are done. I think done. So um, I guess for Adrian Peterson, there's a few places he could go. Like if you look at like the Dallas Cowboys, I think with Dallas with being Ezekiel Elliott there, you got not DeMarco Murray but Darren McFadden there. They really didn't use him a lot in Dallas, so I really think him going to the Dallas Cowboys are probably a good fit. He said before, I think a few years ago, that when the Vikings were looking at trading him, that he would love to go to Dallas. I think he is from the Texas area, so he'd love to go back home, at least have a somewhat of a complementary role to Ezekiel Elliott. He wouldn't be the main guy, but having a one-two punch like that, I think, would definitely be a good look for Adrian Peterson. Like I said, he's the one out of the three I believe that will definitely, I think, land somewhere pretty quickly. Other football news: a lot of guys getting the franchise tag. We saw Dontari Poe is not going to get the franchise tag with the Kansas City Chiefs because they just signed Eric Berry to a 6-year, $78 million deal after the year he just had coming off of I think it was Hodgkin's lymphoma, I believe he had. So coming up the year he had, he was phenomenal. Eric Berry is arguably one of the best free safeties in the league. So I think there was no brainer for the Chiefs keeping him. Then Terry Poe is probably ranked the best defensive tackle and looks like going to be the free agent class. So he's going to be available. I think he's a little bit too pricey for the Ravens, but we'll see what happens. I think with the league nowadays, if you're a defensive tackle, you gotta be able to stop the pass rush. You gotta be able to stop the quarterback now. It's not really about the run anymore. You got guys the way the running backs are today. They can be able to spread out into the flat and line up as wide receivers and things like that. The defensive tackle position, guys have to, I think, learn how to adjust their game now for the way running backs are playing these days. They're not getting 30 carries anymore from line of scrimmage where, now they're lining up in the flat or getting the little dump off passes across the middle or lining up as wide receivers and catching 15-yard passes and then turning it elsewhere. So I think we'll see what the market does with teams if they kind of the teams I think in the NFL kind of will dictate what free agency does for each position. What we saw for running backs, what we've seen for other positions where it may not necessarily be a fit the scheme that certain defenses or offenses need to plan against, and they tend to kind of undervalue that position, like the running back position in the last few years. You've seen plenty of good running backs now go into later rounds in the draft, because of the fact that a lot of them do the tandem thing where they just running back by committee, so they at least have 2 or 3 guys in the back. So I think that's the situation. We'll see how that plays out for the Ravens. I'll get to one thing I really wanted to talk about was the Kirk Cousins signing. Not signing. He hasn't signed the tag yet, but it sounds like he's going to sign his exclusive franchise tag with the Washington Redskins. The first time in NFL history that a quarterback has received back-to-back franchise tags. And while some pundits have said they see that as a good thing and they think, the Redskins is really good for the Redskins, I don't think it's good for the Redskins at all. I think it was a bad move by the Redskins signing a franchise tag for Kirk Cousins. Well, Kirk Cousins is a decent quarterback. It's not the fact that that he's a good quarterback, but just is not there to the point where he's going to, take that team to a championship. I think for the Washington Redskins, you've got a lot of guys with this free agent class coming in with wide receivers, tight ends. You got a decent draft, looks like a deep draft coming in. You want to have some stability in your starting quarterback for especially free agents to come in. You got Deshaun Jackson, who's hitting free agency. You got Pierre Garçon, who's going to hit free agency. Vernon Davis is hitting free agency as well. They got a lot of looks like skilled players that could be on the move going into next season. And I think you don't give a franchise tag to your quarterback for a second year. You either lock him up for a 5-6 year deal or you move on at this point, because trying to go ahead and put in a situation where, if we don't like him for another year, so what else does he have to prove at this point? I think he's been there long enough. You know what this guy can do. He's had decent talent around him. I don't know what else you need to see if you're a Redskin in front of the front office for the Redskins. I don't know what else you need to see at this point. I just think I really believe for the Redskins, they don't know what to do in this situation. I think they got a quarterback. I think what their situation they're in is like what the Ravens were in. They're in a situation where even though Flacco won a Super Bowl and they had to pay him, hopefully they were like, maybe this guy will be the man that we thought he was going to be, that he's going to be that guy to take us to that next level. I just don't think that the Redskins have that in Kirk Cousins. While Ref Flacco did prove that he can win a championship, Kirk Cousins has proven he cannot. The thing is about Kirk Cousins is if you can't beat the Cowboys, and they've beaten you twice now, if you cannot beat the Cowboys in your division, it's like the Ravens and the Steelers. If you cannot beat the Cowboys, you're not going to go far in the playoffs. The Cowboys right now, regardless of what happened at the end of the playoffs this past season, the Cowboys right now, I think, are the de facto favorite going into this season as a favorite to win the Super Bowl. As long as Dak stays healthy and Ezekiel stays healthy through training camp and things like that, and they add on to the defense and stuff like that, I think the Cowboys are the de facto favorite. And that's the thing. I think for the Redskins, this is a terrible move. It's terrible. You either lock him up for a long-term deal, or you go ahead and you just move on. And I don't to pay him $24 million when you know a lot of teams battle with cap space to a guy that you already know is not going to be able to take you the rest of the way, I think it's foolish. I just don't think it's a good move. I really don't. I think it's a bad idea. And they need to go ahead and try to rebuild at this point. You have some decent pieces, I think, on defense. But I think on offense, you gambled with Robert Griffin, lost. Then you gambled with Kirk Cousins, and I think that also has not panned out. I think Kirk Cousins, to his credit, I think he's a gamer. He's definitely a winner. I think he has the attitude to win, most definitely. But I just don't believe he has that next ticket to that next level to win championships for that franchise. But anyway, that's my little spiel on the Redskins. But now I'm going to jump to the Ravens, which everybody wanted to know because I'm a Ravens fan, all that other stuff. So I think today was the first day of the combine. I didn't watch anything. I got in really early this morning, very early flight, so kind of still tired, but here I am. So, but for the Ravens, it sounds like Brandon Williams will not be getting the franchise tag, and neither will Ricky Wagner. He will not be getting the franchise tag either. So this is not surprising, I think, for the Ravens, considering that they have a lot of people that they're waiting to cut. I think, was it before June 1st or prior or after June 1st? I can't exactly remember. Wagner did get an offer for the Ravens. Okay, I'm sorry. Wagner did get an offer from the Ravens. And it's apparently competitive. So we'll see. I'm probably sure he's going to try to test the market to see what his value is. I think if you're a free agent, especially with teams looking for those edge guys as far as blockers, left tackle, right tackle, and he was one of the best ranked tackles I think last season. So I think he's definitely going to at least try to test the market to see how much he's worth, which would be smart for him. And I think they said the Ravens aren't tagging anybody just because I don't think they just don't have the cap space. They don't have the cap space to pay Brandon Williams, who will probably, I think he's the 4th or 5th ranked defensive tackle on the free agent class right now. And Ricky Wagner is one of the top 3, I think, right tackles in the free agent class. So I think for him for the Ravens, the problem with the Ravens, but they have been for the last several years, is that the Ravens don't tend to hold on to a lot of their own for a while. They keep some guys, but what we've seen with Kelechi Osemele and look at Ricky Wagner, and now you probably may lose Brandon Williams. You lost Lodinata, and Timmy Jernigan hasn't really panned out the way you expected. And a few of these draft picks like Correa, that's not been on the field. He got hurt. Kafusi got hurt in training camp, and then you got Max Williams, you got a lot of guys. I think the Ravens have a lot of guys the Ravens have drafted that have not really panned out, either due to injury or haven't gotten on the field for whatever production reasons. And I think the Ravens are struggling right now because they have other holes they got to fill. Plenty of other holes they got to fill. You got wide receiver position they got to fill because Mike Wallace with I think his second year option coming up is going to get more money. So if they're going to want to, and he's not a number 1 wide receiver, so they may try to just release him and maybe hopefully try to rework a deal so that he could bring him back just for a little bit cheaper to be more cap friendly. Steve Smith is gone. They're banking on Breshad Perriman to become a number 1 wide receiver, and it's going to be tough. They got to bring in a veteran, like a Victor Cruz type guy. I think would be good. Maybe a Cordell Patterson would be good for the Ravens. Cordell Patterson is the type of guy where I think he hasn't been really used a lot in the Viking system, only because I think he's a speed guy. He's a playmaker type guy, kind of like a Tavon Austin. I think of. He does that kind of thing where I don't know if he's a pure wide receiver, but if he gets the ball in his hands, he can make good plays. So I think what the Ravens definitely need on offense is playmakers, period. And that brings me to my next thing, which may be a little controversial, but I think the Ravens need to go ahead and cut Dennis Pitta. I know that sounds a little crazy coming from a Ravens fan. Dennis Pitta has been a very integral part for the Ravens, but I think his cap number is just way too high. I know he's played 1 season now with on the hip and everything, but that injury is so fragile for him that if anything happens and they pay him that money, he's due. I think that they have enough talent. You got Crockett Gilmore. You got Nick Boyle, you got Max Williams, and you got to set a pretty deep tight end class coming in, and you're going to have some free agent tight ends coming in as well. So I think that, and you said maybe Benjamin Watson, but I just don't think that for the Ravens right now, they got to find a way to, and seeing how Flacco is not going to take less money, it seems like at this point, that they just need to go ahead and figure out that they need to go ahead and try to bring in players on the cheap, players that have been undervalued, players that have been underutilized, things like that. They're not going to be able to bring in top talent because they don't have the money. Now, depending on what happens with Suggs and Ladarius Webb and Elvis Dumerville and those guys, when they, they're probably going to get released. I predicted they're going to get released just because they were free of a ton of cap space for those three guys. So, but for the Ravens, I definitely think where they need to focus on is secondary. They need to focus. They definitely need to focus on defense. I think they need to focus on the secondary, especially. Either the cornerback class is very deep this year, and for the draft, definitely deep. So the Ravens can find maybe two guys, I think, in the draft, in maybe the first round, and then maybe later on the fourth and fifth rounds for depth reasons. And there's also some guys out there, also in free agency, they can go grab that for whatever reason may go under the radar, may not garner a lot of attention. So they maybe, kind of wait it out like they always do, wait it out and kind of grab guys on the cheap like they did a few years ago with Corey Graham. You see how well he turned out for the Ravens. I kind of wish they had held on to him. But they're good. There's a lot of opportunities this year for the Ravens to plug in a lot of holes with a lot of young talent, and not just in the draft, but also free agency. There are quite a few guys that are 24 and 25 years that are now years old that are ending their contracts with the teams they got drafted with, and because maybe they didn't get a lot of playing time or whatever, but they have a lot of upside that they may be able to go to a Ravens type team and go ahead and kind of make a name for themselves. What the Ravens are good at doing. So, but I think for the Ravens side, a lot of people are talking about, I think on the offensive side, that the Ravens need to go ahead and draft another running back. I don't think so. I don't think the Ravens need to draft another running back. I don't know where this is coming from, whether it's the 105.7 The Fan or NFL Network, whatever. You got Terrence West and you got Kenneth Dixon. The reason why people are saying they need to draft running back is because, oh yeah, look at their ranking last year. That's on coaching. When the Ravens did run the football last year, they dominated when they ran the football. They just got to get back to that mindset. And with the signings they did with Greg Roman and those other guys, I think, not Greg Roman, the other coordinators they just hired from the Bills and other places that specialize in run game. Hopefully they'll bring that attitude back. They may go ahead and get more focused on the run game. I think they got the running backs, and it was Greg Roman, and they need to go ahead and focus on the run game. You don't need another running back. You got Buck Allen back there. You got Terrence West and you got Kenneth Dixon. You got three very young guys. Just give them the football. I think that's all they need to do. For the draft, it's interesting this year because the Ravens have some compensatory picks this year. And I think for the Ravens, where they are, I think it was at pick 16. Are they willing to trade up to get the guy that they want? I think based on some draft stuff I did I did some draft. What do you want to call it? I did some simulations on my own just to see what it looked like the Ravens could be drafting coming into the season, just to see like what would happen for the Ravens if they decide to stay put and they need to go ahead and just draft and draft at the spot that they're in. I saw them, I think, in the couple drafts I did a couple mocks. I'm going to do a few more later on. But I saw them in the first and the draft that I really liked. I think that provided the best talent for the Baltimore Ravens was the first pick was Malik Hooker, the safety out of Ohio State. He's been ranked one of the best, if not the best safety out of the draft. They definitely need a free safety, the younger guy, someone that can replace Webb. Desmond King out of Iowa. He's a round 3 pick for the Ravens. Let me see I think if I can see it here. Yeah, okay. I forgot the first pick. But edge rusher Ryan Anderson from Alabama. Then I had Chris Godwin from Penn State. For those who watch Big Ten football, Chris Godwin dominated Penn State football for the last couple of years. And Trace McSorley as their quarterback at Penn State. I think a lot of the Penn State guys have been really good. You look at Allen Robinson and out of the couple of years ago, and now Chris Godwin. I think he's going to be there definitely late in the draft that they can go ahead and snag him. I also liked Marquise White out of USC as a cornerback. They said they can draft a little bit later. I picked him in the 5th round. And also Ryan Switzer, wide receiver. He's a shorter guy. He's about 5'10", out of UNC. Very Wes Welker type, Julian Edelman type player. I definitely think could be a good complement to Michael Campanaro. Only because Campanaro has only been he hasn't really been healthy. He's been hurt for most of his career with the Ravens, and I just think for them, they need to go ahead and they got to go ahead and I think if they can find another guy that can just shifty in the open field, that would be do wonders for them. They need guys, I think, for the Ravens that's especially important, is they need guys that can get open. That's exactly what the Ravens need. The Ravens need guys that can get open. That's the most important thing, I think, for the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, I think, like I said, there are plenty of opportunities for the Ravens. Tony Jefferson is out there for the. I think he's a free agent for the Arizona Cardinals. A lot of people. He's been ranked pretty good. I don't know how cheap he's going to come, but like I said, a lot of this, especially my mock drafts and stuff, really depend on what happens between March and May and April, the end of April. That's what really is going to dictate what the Ravens do. If they can get some decent free agent signings for cheap, that will, especially younger talent, like between 24 and 26 years old, that they can develop. It's almost like a kind of a later draft pick. That would help them not be as needy during the draft, trying to trade picks. You know how Ozzie loves his picks. And I don't think switching Weddle to free agency would help. I really don't. I don't think switching Weddle to free. I don't think he's fast enough. You got to have some little speed. I think playing strong safety is where he belongs, especially at his age. I think they need a legit free. They need a young free safety to play that position to get back into the mix. I just think for the Ravens, they're really going to need to hit on this draft. What we've seen, I think, at the end of the day, is that the Ravens, if they haven't hit on the last couple of drafts, and a lot of guys have either been hurt or especially guys I think from the 2013 draft aren't even on the team anymore. Matt Elam, just got his issues going on now. But the Ravens have to hit this year. And for Harbaugh's sake, I think that's what really the silver lining in all this is that Harbaugh now knows officially that he is on the hot seat. He knows for sure now that if he doesn't get it done, then he's definitely out of a job and looking somewhere else. So I think Harbaugh is going to have to just swallow his pride, whatever it is he has with issues with alpha males in the locker room and things like that, that he needs to bring in guys that can make plays for the Baltimore Ravens on both sides of the football. He needs to swallow his ego, and he needs to go ahead and sign the guys that he needs to sign. They can do it cheaply. Ozzie is one of the master at doing that. Ozzie is the master at bringing in guys on the cheap that can be contributors for the Ravens for years to come. So that's my little spiel. I said it's my first video since this end of the Ravens season and everything. So I'll keep watching the combine just to see what's going on. I really don't put a lot of stock in the combine, only because it just tests speed and general stuff. It doesn't actually test what film can actually show you how the guy actually plays in a football game, and wearing pads. So that's what I like to see. But I'll just see what happens if anybody starts to fall down the draft board or come up the draft board. We'll see over the next few days for the draft, the combine, and if things start heating up and free agency will be coming up real soon. So get ready. Football season is about to begin real soon. I think it's in free agency starts maybe next week or the week after. I'm not sure. I know it's in the next few days or so. So get ready for that. Don't expect the Ravens to make a huge splash that first day. They're going to wait it out and let the market settle itself. So, but anyway, thanks for watching. And I'll have more of these coming next week or so. I'll probably do one next week as well. And yeah. Also, I'm going to do a video, I think later this week. I wanted to talk about, for those who are like hip hop fans and things like that. Just in general, I wanted to talk about rap beefs and how it hurts the hip hop community as a whole. And while it may look entertaining and things like that, I wanted to talk about what rap beef actually has not been really good, I think, for hip hop and the communities that they serve, especially the black communities. So I want to talk about that. I think in a couple of days. I'll probably do it. I may do it Friday. I just wanted to kind of give my little spiel on that. I wanted to go a little bit a different route this year. I want to get, I guess, some more social issues, I think, like that, and just kind of more pop culture stuff to kind of branch out there a bit. So. But anyway, thanks for watching, and please, leave any comments or anything like that, and we'll see you guys later. Peace.